Hey everybody, Eric Chesson, founder of Autism Fitness here. And if you are ready to join the movement for movement, head on over to autismfitness.com and you can register right away and start your journey to becoming an Autism Fitness certified pro, the only program in the universe that gives you all the tools, strategies, not only the concepts, but the practical application that you will need to develop the best possible, most meaningful, most follow through, if that's actually a verb, programs for fitness and adapted PE for the autism and neurodiverse populations. So in this episode, this edition of Tuesday Training, I got a great question the other week, and I actually, a real question, not making it up for the internet, about off-task behavior and what off-task behavior actually is within the context of when we're talking about fitness and movement programming. We know that a lot of our neurodiverse athletes have behavior that can coincide with or can also be contradictory to performing exercise. So when we talk about off-task behavior, does this mean that they are somewhat or completely away from what we're trying to program and the coaching that we're giving them? So I wanted to provide an example from one of my athlete sessions as well, so that you can see. So at a base level, off-task behavior is defined as some type of competing action that the learner, or in our case, the athlete, is engaging in that's taking away from completing that particular task, or again, in our case, that exercise, right? And there is actually a gradient scale here as well, because oftentimes, as we know, with our athletes, they can be engaging in a perseverative physical behavior, for example, picking things up off the floor repeatedly or wandering around. And then we can also have perseverative vocalizations, or what we call vocal stereotypy, where the athlete is repeating a phrase, or they are singing, or they are making some type of vocalization that may not have anything to do with the session or with the activity. And what we have to make a decision on, and this is always the case in our hierarchy of importance, looking at the PAC profile, physical, adaptive, and cognitive, is what makes the most sense right now to focus on. And here's the key question: is this behavior actually taking away from what we want to achieve with our athletes? So I'll show you a clip with one of my athletes here. So you can see this guy is set up, and of course we have a ring here for the standing band row. Always recommended to give our athlete a visual and spatial identifier on where their feet need to be. And to be perfectly honest, it helps out the coach as well, because if we're going from the standing band row to a squat or a press or another exercise, sometimes we forget what the optimal foot placement is away from the anchor system here. So feet rooted in the ring, and then our athlete's hands are on the band. Band is all looped up, very structurally sound and safe. So you can see here that as we start, and of course I'm providing this full physical prompt because our athlete here has a tendency to lean back. This is still a very new exercise for him, and we want that full range of motion. And you can see, if you look around, and this is the reason that we have this ring here, you can see, if you look around the facial mouthhole area here, that he is speaking, and it may not necessarily be about the exercise itself. Now, some people would label this an off-task behavior. However, the question that we want to ask, and what is going to be key in how we address it, is going to be whether it is or is not taking away from the athlete's best performance of that exercise. So if we have an athlete, and I'm sure you might have one or two of these examples, who is talking through or singing through or engaging in some type of vocal stereotypy or perseveration, sometimes it's referred to as scrolling, is this taking away from their best performance of the exercise? And if not, is it something that we really have to address right now? Is it something that's getting in the way of the outcome that we want here? So if we have an athlete who's just kind of talking through the exercise, but we see here, feet are still rooted, band pull is still being done to the current best ability level, at least as far as I know right now, until we continue to program it, the athlete has more practice with it, he starts getting better at it. Is this really an issue right now? So the way to not go about this in a way that's going to be successful is to turn our attention, or to turn my attention as a coach, to the athlete and say, hey, you really got to focus right now, or it's time to be quiet. Neither of those is going to work. And they also don't help the athlete achieve anything. And we also want to provide as much support and behavior specific praise as possible when the athlete, particularly if you have an athlete who is likely to get off task, is performing the exercise. So this is either a situation of ignoring the vocalizations because they're not really competing with the exercise, or we can start a conversation with the athlete as much as it's not taking away from the exercise. So if we're looking at our hierarchy here, the most important thing is here. Number one, the athlete is set and performing the exercise. Thing number two, I am, as the coach, providing this support here in the way of a physical prompt so that he's getting full range of motion, staying upright, all the good stuff that comes with the standing band row, because it's an awesome upper body strength exercise. And we're also getting trunk stability rooting here. So you can see here that I'm also speaking with the athlete as well, not to take away from this hierarchy that we have here. Number one, the exercise. Number two, the support. And number three, the engagement of the athlete. I want to build a positive rapport with this athlete. So I might provide a little bit of side commentary on what he's talking about, try to engage there. But the key is we're not getting so much off task in terms of the conversation that it's taking away from the exercise. So if we're looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, what's the most important thing at number one? What's the second most important thing? What's the third most important thing? With what is going on in that situation, thing number one is the athlete is performing the exercise. He's set up. So the most important thing right now is getting to the exercise, because the competing behavior is not really competing all that much. Second, that we know how to prompt or support this exercise, in which case there's a physical prompt here, because otherwise he's either going to lean back or the feet are going to come out of the ring. So we need a little more physical support in this situation. That's thing number two. And thing number three is that we are providing the positive behavior support, because the athlete is mostly on task. He might be thinking about something else, but he's still doing it. And again, saying, hey, you need to focus, or we want this to be a positive and enjoyable experience as much as possible for this athlete, right? So if we're looking at the hierarchy of 1, 2, 3, it would be physical, cognitive, adaptive here. Not because generally one is more important than the other, but physically we can focus on the exercise and the performance of that standing band row first, because second, the athlete is learning the expectation for performance, standing there, pulling the band. And third, even though there is some vocalization, I forgot what he was talking about here, but he is supported as he needs to be right now. And the off-task behavior is not running away, it's not sitting on the floor, it's not really competing with our goal of doing the band row right now. So the takeaway here is the hierarchy of importance is the most important thing that you can be discovering and then acting on as a coach. What needs to be addressed first: physical, adaptive, or cognitive functioning. This is a great example of, is it off-task behavior? We might categorize it, but it's really not. It's not. First of all, it's not extreme at all, and secondly, it's not impeding with the athlete's ability to perform the exercise or our ability to coach the exercise. So that's whether or not off-task behavior is truly off-task in the situation. And I hope that's helpful for you. Little categorization there. Again, I'm Eric Chesson, founder of Autism Fitness. If you are now ready to join the Movement for Movement, click the link in the description below. It'll take you directly to the Autism Fitness certification, where you can register and immediately begin your coursework towards becoming an Autism Fitness Level 1 certified pro anywhere in the world.